What are we doing? This is ridiculous.
That's an accurate statement. If anybody can tell me what the point of If is, I would really love to know. Starring Ryan Reynolds and Cailey Fleming, If tells the story of a girl who has the ability to see imaginary friends who have been abandoned as their kids have grown up, and while that may sound like a fun concept designed to appeal to children and adults alike, the direction they take, the overall tone of the movie, makes me question who the audience was here. Despite how it may look, the overly vibrant characters, this attempts, and I mean attempts, to be somewhat serious. Taking on the issue of dead parents and obviously being abandoned, as an imaginary friend would be, the way they handle it, the way they tie it into the plot, just doesn't make sense. They can't justify its existence, and as you'll soon see, a lot of it makes no sense. And to be honest, most of the movie focuses on that. That may be why it's a box office failure, or it could just be the economy, who knows. But if they just appealed to kids opposed to whatever this is meant to be, maybe it would have done better. Instead, they got an assembled cast of voice actors, because that makes everything better. And co-star Ryan Reynolds acting like an asshole throughout most of the movie, until the plot says that's enough of that, and I still don't know the reason. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about a kids movie, but I just don't believe that's the main target here. I really only watched it for a future project, but the more I think about it, that isn't enough. I want to assess it further, and, well, the intro sets the appropriate tone. It's basically to catch you up on the way things are. Walking Dead actress Cailey Fleming plays Bee, whose mother is diagnosed with cancer. It took a dark turn, but despite that, things do still seem good. Of course, living with her grandmother, keeping speaking to a minimum, looking at family pictures, obviously that's not the case.
Oh, Grandma? I'm 12. I don't really do that anymore.
+5, but honestly, anybody could play this part. We see her dad trying to imitate Patch Adams, and as you may have guessed, the main reason for her sad demeanor is because he needs heart surgery.
And I can be fixed.
The thing is, despite being the driving force behind a lot of this movie, it's treated like an afterthought. The fact that he needs surgery is barely even mentioned, only that he probably won't die, and the fake broken heart is the only hint we get. He's literally joking every time we see him, so I don't see why you'd catch on to that. And despite being played by the movie's director, John Krasinski, he wasn't even given a name. Literally just Bee's dad. Basically, they've done everything they can to make me not care, but I guess it's supposed to play a big role. This kind of writing will define the movie, and just to be clear, I'm fine with movies aimed at kids handling hard subjects, but this is not what that is. Apparently they think it is, and her dull expressions last for a long while. Even upon first seeing an If, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I mean, she must notice this, right?
I was just trying to say hello to your little girl.
Okay, it seemed pretty fucking clear to me, looking directly at it, speaking with an adult British accent. I guess it's supposedly too dark, but it is kinda confusing. Ellen Kim plays Benjamin, a kid who Bee befriends, I guess, and gets hurt a lot, I guess. I don't want to make fun of a kid actor, but I don't know why he's here.
TV's busted.
I'm sorry?
It's okay. It's not your fault.
He does play a role in one scene later, but I'd argue we don't need that scene. We'll get to that. For now, Cal, played by Ryan Reynolds, who can also see Ifs, is climbing through some girl's window to retrieve another If named Blue, played by Steve Carell.
Hi.
Inappropriate implication aside, the fact that he's named Blue opposed to being purple, I hate this thing. I'm not going to show a montage as to why that is, it's just overdone and purely appealing to kids. There are some funny moments later, some clever ideas, not too many, but this is not it. Obviously he's trying and failing to find a new kid. That's not explained here, but if not, this doesn't look right. Especially these parts.
I heard she cried for an hour.
Probably should have gone to the cops by now.
Hi.
And you're telling me only now you noticed. You followed them there. You really thought that was a normal kid? The exposition in the next scene is kind of overdone. We know they're imaginary friends. Obviously the girl was a potential match. None of it needs explaining further, and it goes on for way too long.
We're gonna explain it all right here in a neat little pink package?
As you know, kids are stupid, so I guess, but what I want to know is why is Cal such an asshole?
What part of don't touch my stuff do you not understand?
You know what? Do it yourself. Okay? I don't need this.
Fledgling little operation.
We?
He seems annoyed throughout the whole movie, and I don't know why. Maybe it's being in this movie. As mentioned, he will eventually stop being that way, but I don't know why that is either. The only hint is he finds Blue annoying. It makes sense, but it doesn't warrant this. It's also implied that when the kids don't need them, they disappear. But spoiler, the kids are, well, adults, so that makes no sense. They compare the neighbor outside to a witch because reasons. And after a bit of convincing, she decides to help. The next day, first she has to be told to leave in an overly sad manner. Blue shows up at the hospital for literally no reason. And I'm sorry, but this is lazy. I don't care who the audience is, this is another pointless scene. She says she doesn't want the ability, calls it a curse. They re-explain the plot that we knew before they even explained it. And tell me anybody is laughing at this. So they go to Memory Lane, a retirement community for the ifs that disappear if they're forgotten. And you know what they say, if the writing, the plot, comedy, overall appeal can't save it, fall back on a lot of big names. George Clooney, Awkwafina, Matt Damon, Bradley Cooper, Keegan-Michael Key, Amy Schumer, Christopher Maloney, Emily Blunt, Sam Rockwell, Blake Lively, Joe Stewart, the list goes on. I'm not saying anybody does a particularly bad job, but when you spend half the movie going in circles, repeating the same shit, it does feel a bit non-genuine. I mean, do you think this makes it good? Because I'll tell you, the kids don't care. But no matter what age you are, you can hit the like button, it's very easy to hit, and the subscribe button is big red and says subscribe. Sharing the video is highly appreciated. I don't think YouTube any longer does that. And don't forget to like the video down below and hit the big subscribe button. The gaming channel is an option too for the same kind of stuff but with games, link in the description. And remember, sharing the video is a good thing because YouTube doesn't care. That's why I have the gaming channel too, for those who like video games, and the link is down below. I'll give them some credit, there are a few unique ideas here. Richard Jerkins as the art teacher is one of the more memorable ones. The rest are just okay, nothing stands out too much, but there is one thing that's kind of genius.
Alone. Keith! Kid creates an invisible if.
Yes, Keith, the invisible if, is apparently played by Brad Pitt. Obviously a clear reference to Deadpool 2, playing somebody invisible in a Ryan Reynolds movie, and I have no issue saying it's the best thing about the movie. I would have preferred in the end credits if his name wasn't so obvious, rely on the audience to actually find it, but I'm confident they think they're brain dead. Still, best thing about the movie. The next few scenes are not, though. Lewis, played by Gossett Jr., inspires her to use her imagination to redesign the facility, leading into a big music number. It's fine, definitely not bad, but why is it here? It's the only one in the movie, it's not a musical. The facility being redesigned does not affect the plot, and it's really only there to be there. It's fun, but that's it. The whole picture thing is kind of inventive. It's funny how the lazy cat if stays in the chair. I don't get why Cal is so unhappy about this, because he's not nice, I guess, but overall, it's not that impactful. And I think I was in the most overrated show ever. Big step down. The next scene of complete irrelevancy sees them trying to find an if for Benjamin, even though
almost every kid has one.
Well, fuck that, I guess. And this scene exists so they can explain the personality of every single if, again, as they interview them to see if he can see them, which he can't. If you're enjoying the movie so far, you might enjoy this, but as far as plot progression, I don't know. It's just more stuff that leads to nothing. Obviously, this bit's funny.
That one's just confusing.
He's the worst.
And you might be thinking, well, it leads into something, and I would argue no. After all this, the bear says they don't need new kids, they need to reunite with the old ones.
You're fucking kidding me, right?
So, why did we just sit through that if he knew it wouldn't work? If that somehow led to them finding out realistically, that would be one thing, but instead the fucking bear just didn't say anything because lesson. You really think you have a retarded audience, don't you? I want to emphasize this movie is not just for kids, it's clearly aimed at adults too. That being said, I could even see kids saying, what the fuck was that? What's even going on? What's the objective of this movie? What's the damn point? I guess reunite them with their old kids? Well, that's kind of odd too. She realizes Blossom is her grandmother's if. Isn't that convenient? And by playing a familiar record, she remembers her. Great. Still can't see her, so I don't know. But something happens, so success. They go to find Blue's kid next. At least it's implied he kind of needs it. The grandmother seemed content enough. It goes terribly wrong when he sneezes on him, but I guess just ignore that. Must be a common occurrence these days. And in the end, he gives him his confidence.
Hey everyone, thanks for seeing me today. Really excited to be here.
And it only took an hour and 20 minutes. No, really, nothing. Nothing up until this point mattered. Nothing. It does cause Cal to quit being an asshole, so that's a thing, probably because he can leave soon, and not much else happens. I mean, it's implied that her dad might not wake up, but the movie immediately made sure you knew it wasn't a big deal, along with somewhat hiding what the issue was. So if he legitimately died, that'd be some dark shit. It'd have a completely different outlook on the movie. It wouldn't fix it, but it'd be memorable. Instead...
What an asshole.
I get that he wants to be Patch Adams, but that's kinda dickish. So that had no impact at all, but apparently she was fighting with the concept of not growing up, or not being a kid, and since she'd reasonably feel bad about both her parents dying, leaving her alone at the age of 12, this means she can't see them now. I guess because she doesn't need them? Did she not care about her dad before? Didn't seem that way. The quote-unquote witch shows us nobody's up there, but upon looking at a picture she drew, we get the revelation that Cal is in fact her if. Okay, so on one hand that was cleverly foreshadowed, but not too much. The mention of him being a clown, a couple of hints at that. Don't know why he was sneaking through the girl's bedroom if that was the case, but it's fine, it's an okay conclusion. Don't quite buy the thing with her dad, but it could have been a lot worse. The other ifs then meet their grown-up kids without any explanation as to how they can. You just have to see them. So fuck established rules. And aside from this,
Hey, Keith.
I have to respectfully say, fuck this movie. Yeah, I don't know who is meant to enjoy this. Seemingly it's more for kids, with scenes that don't provide anything but being fun to look at. But at the same time, you can't just put death in the movie's intro and have no rhyme or reason. The issue was handled so poorly, almost jokingly, I don't even know why they bothered. But between this half-assed attempt, and a long list of notable voice actors that really affect nothing, an adult appeal was definitely in mind. However, I don't know what the direction is. Entire scenes go nowhere, have no purpose, the plot is very inconsistent, and honestly I don't know what the plot is. It changes multiple times, very little is accomplished throughout, and it doesn't attempt to make sense. Cal being an if doesn't really add up. They claim if they're forgotten, they'll disappear, but when? And I can't get past her looking at the damn thing and thinking it's human in multiple scenes. It's actually a hard movie to explain. They had to pick one direction to go in, and instead it's just uneventful. I'd like to say it's a valiant effort, but a lot of it does insult the audience. Over-explaining shit multiple times for no reason, stuff that didn't need explaining at all, and one too many scenes that simply don't need to exist. For that reason, I wouldn't recommend it for kids, because it's just insulting. That's how I feel about it, and if you're an adult, well, it's entertaining at times, some comedy is there, and if you missed it, you didn't miss out. I think its failure at the box office was deserved. I don't think it's a complete atrocity, but it didn't deserve better. I'm the analyst, and remember kids, don't act like you're dead. So, you've made it to the end. That's an impressive feat indeed. Since you managed that, I guess check out the gaming channel, in which I cover a variety of gaming topics, like analysis videos, such as this one. If you're into that, then press the link in the description. It's that simple.